Welcome to day 11 of your 30-day Dental MBA. We're rocking and rolling right along. I'm so happy that you're staying with it. This speaks volumes of your commitment to success by getting all the way to day 11. Keep it up. Make sure the whole team's watching. Get your spouse involved. Get your children involved. Get your family involved. And I don't care if you pass these tapes around. You got some struggling dentist across the street. Don't think it's a secret sending these across the street. Do it. Get the word out. I don't think in scarcity, I think abundancy. Let's get bigger. Today we're going to talk about how to develop a winning organization based on human behavior. And as always, we always want to bleed over the last day into the next day to keep it a continuum. Day 10 was how to develop the ultimate dental assistant. And back to the whole team on this winning-based organization culture. Remember, dental assistants, the patient education sheets are everything. You can't find a Fortune 500 product that doesn't come with instructions and warranties. And look how they enforce warranties. If you go buy a brand new tent, take it out to the Grand Canyon camp for a week, then take it back to Walmart and with mud all over and say, when I opened this out of the box, there was a cut on the side. What is their policy? Are they going to argue? Are they going to debate? Are they going to take it before a panel? All warranties are enforced, no questions asked. Now, the last data I got on Walmart, they have about a 1% return rate on their merchandise. So I would say the average dentist, if you did $500,000 last year, what's 1% of $500,000? $5,000. Did you warranty, refund, redo $5,000 of the dentistry? Why would it happen to Sam Walton's, Walmart, Sears, JCPenney's, Mervyn's, Target? Why would they run at about a 1% return, and then you run at a 1/100% return? See, that's what we call benchmarking. You know, if you're Chrysler and you come out with a minivan, and the first year you sell, 5 million units of these minivans. Okay, does Honda need a marketing survey? Do they need a committee to look into marketing vans? No. Honda, Nissan, Toyota, GM, Ford, they benchmark. They say, look, there's only about 15 players in making cars. If someone comes out and it's a hit, that's our marketing survey. We don't need more data. We don't need a committee. We don't need to sit on this product cycle for 2-3 years as it goes from committee to committee to committee to committee to committee. Move, action, think it, you saw it, act on it. Same thing with warranties and refunds. If everybody in your organizational backyard is doing this behavior, right or wrong, that's the culture, that's the custom, that's the taboo, the belief systems, okay? People, if something goes wrong, there's a warranty, just enforce it, it's goodwill, it gets ruffled feathers. And also remember, what is the real value of the life of a patient? God, McDonald's places the value of a lifelong customer. 1 in 10 people eat at McDonald's every gosh darn day. McDonald's figures the value of one of their customers on the aggregate's worth $27,000. And you're whining about refunding a $140 filling? Come on, guys, don't look at the trinket. Don't look at the filling, the crown, the root canal, the cleaning. Look at the value of this patient coming in for the lifetime, bringing in their existing social network, immediate family, their spouse, their children, their dad, their neighbor, their coworkers. And when you do these people right and they feel good about it, when you're talking about trying to get someone else to do something for you, you always know one of the easiest ways to get someone to do something for you is you give them a gift. You give them a gift, they always return the favor. I mean, I remember Armand Hammer. Armand Hammer is the only person, he made billions of dollars because no one else could deal with Joseph Stalin. And you got to read all the books, autobiographies. And talking about human behavior, look how keen, instinctual insights this little Jewish physician named Armand Hammer in New York City. He was a physician. Most of the dentists don't realize that. And basically, he was working on his patients, and he kept hearing all these patients saying things like, gosh darn Soviets are so damn stupid. I've been trying to, they have 200,000 tons of metric wheat rot in the field every year, and I've been down there with their Ministry of Agriculture, and after 3-4 years, finally my boss said, we can't waste any more money trying to do business with these people. They're idiots. Then he had some other patients that were in his office from Standard Oil, old Rockefeller's breakup empire. They were saying, the Soviets got the same amount of oil as Saudi Arabia, and we've been dealing with them for 4 or 5 years about how to get oil out of there. And finally, we've dumped $10 million into trying to do business with these people, going through the Ministry of Oil and the Ministry of Agriculture. These guys are idiots. They don't, blah, blah, blah. They finally gave up. And Armand Hammer's listening to all this stuff, and he knows human behavior. Remember, billionaires know apes. They know people. They don't know your math, your trigonometry. They didn't go to business school. They didn't get calculus. They don't have a PhD behind their name. If you got a PhD behind your name, you're more likely to be a conformist where you try to fit the whole round world through your little square peg. Billionaires know people. They don't need to know math. The billionaires always say, I can find someone to do the math. I can find a lawyer. I can find an accountant. I can find some damn dentist to do a root canal. I want to know people. And Armand Hammer, you know what he did? He flew over to Germany. He studied everything he could on Joseph Stalin. Remember, Joseph Stalin, that's a mean dude, you know, dictator, killed 35 million people. Everybody talks about Adolf Hitler killed 11 million. Hell, Joseph Stalin killed 35 million. Mao Zedong's number 1, he killed 80 million. Idi Amin's number 4 at 1.1 million. But he studied everything, get his hands on about Joseph Stalin. He noticed in all these pictures, he might have had a pack of Marlboro Red about half the time, and sometimes saw Hershey's chocolate bars, so he got a big case. He picked half of it with Marlboro Red, half of it with Hershey's chocolate bars, put it in a case, flew over to Berlin, chartered a jet, and he had to fly it himself because no one would do what he wanted to do. The son of a gun takes off from gosh darn, from Germany, crosses over, and he's flying right to Moscow, crosses the Berlin Wall. About 2 seconds later, Soviet MiGs are on his tail saying, you've invaded Soviet airspace, we're going to shoot you down, what the hell are you doing? He goes, hey, I got a meeting with Joseph Stalin. Now the MiG fighter's like, oh, Joseph Stalin, oh my God. So they escorted him to Moscow. They parked, the military's there. They picked him up. They said, what are you doing here? Who are you? What are you doing? He says, I'm Armand Hammer. I'm Dr. Armand Hammer from New York City. I have a meeting with Joseph Stalin. They're like, you have a meeting with Joseph Stalin? Oh my God. They got him in the deal. They motorcade him in. They bring him in this office. Joseph Stalin walks out there and says, who the hell are you? He goes, Joseph Stalin, I'm Dr. Armand Hammer from New York. Greetings from New York. And he opens up his case. There it is, half Marlboro Red, half chocolate. Joseph Stalin's got his big smile on his face. He goes, what's the deal? And he goes, well, you know, I just can't understand. He says, I got all these patients, and they're all trying to do business with your wheat, and you got all this wheat rotting in the field, and they've been working 3 or 4 years with your Ministry of Agriculture, and they finally gave up. But more importantly, you got all this oil. You got liquid gold, and 3 years of dealing with the Minister of Oil, Standard Oil, and all these people gave up. What's the deal? And Joseph Stalin says, oh, I didn't know that. He takes out a sheet of paper. He writes, if you tell Dr. Armand Hammer no, I will kill you. Joseph Stalin. He took that to the Ministry of Agriculture, said, this is what I want to do. There's the birth of Occidental Petroleum. There's the birth of another billionaire. Why? Because he had the keen instinctual insight that he had to find the decision maker. Remember, decisions are made based on how they see the score and its incentives. He had an incentive to get that oil ground. It's called money. But Armand Hammer had the keen insight to not deal with the Ministry of Oil for 4 years and lose $10 million like other oil companies. He went to the top. Ray Kroc knew who the decision maker was. It was Mom, and her score was the little kid. So what you need to do is, this behavior is done in your backyard. They need patient education. You know, when Dad comes home from the dentist and Mom says, well, honey, I'm serving dinner in 10 minutes. When are you allowed to eat on that new filling? And he says, he's not going to say, well, honey, you know me, I'm dumber than a rock. I don't remember. I forgot to ask. He's not going to say that. He always rationalizes everything. He says, well, you know, Dr. Farran, he's only in there 5 minutes, and it costs $100. He's in there 3 minutes. He didn't say nothing. He ran out of the room. He didn't tell me nothing. I don't know. I don't want to go back there. But if you had a patient education sheet, they pull out this sheet. You know, you can drink liquids on it right away. You got to wait 1 hour to eat on it, yada, yada, Mom. Mom's like, it's right here. And then you sit there, you have this. It's operational logistics. If these warranties are all tucked away in files and charts, or in notebooks, you know, you got to set it up like a McDonald's. These are my deals. They're right by the door. You're walking out the door. How the hell would you miss that? And why do we put it different color? Because apes are visual. Dental assistants know by the color which one's which for the warranties, on and on and on. To implement consumerism, an instructional sheet with every procedure, preoperative videotapes, instruction sheets, signed legal consent forms, home care instructions, every procedure. Always give out the entire walkout statement stating everything that was done, costs incurred of your high quality, great service, family practice. Here's some warranties I've collected. These are for my Bose speakers. They have a warranty. When you feel strongly about something, and I'm taking the opposite side of this, it's real easy to beat up amalgam, but I don't like dentists when they talk about mercury toxicity and beating up amalgams, because if you take away amalgams, what do you do? You didn't do anything to the rich and the middle class. Once again, the poor always get screwed. Safety of dental amalgam. Here's an update put out by JADA. I'll be the only practice management expert who'll stick my reputation on the line, say amalgam safe. And why do I say amalgam safe? You give me all this sheep study. You give me studies about, You keep coming back to this sheep study in Canada. It shows, well, sheep who had fillings and they were getting off 25 picograms of mercury and they yada, 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 yada. Okay, well, let's just say that's all true. First of all, we're not sheep. We don't chew grass all day. You know what sheep do? They chew grass, they swallow it, they regurgitate it with acid. Okay, maybe that applies to anorexia nervosa and bulimia. But let's say that we're all anorexics and bulimia. We all eat our food 24 hours a day, regurgitating with acid, swallowing again. Let's say 25 picograms is the deal. A good buddy of mine, Ray Bertolotti, who's, Ray Bertolotti, I mean, he's at a whole nother level. Ray said, look at the ocean. And the mercury in a silver filling is a salt. It's bonded to silver, copper, zinc, or tin. It's an insoluble salt. If I swallow an amalgam, 3 days later, ting, I poop it out, weigh it weighs the same, wash it off, swallow it again. 3 days later, ting, rinse it off, weigh it, it's the same. You could do that 300-400 times. It's an insoluble salt. But free ethyl mercury and methyl mercury is laden in our little lovely ocean of ours. And what does it do? It's a heavy element. It sinks to the bottom. Well, what happens when it gets to the bottom? Well, there's these fish that feed off the bottom. They're scum-sucking scavengers. You would never eat these kind of animals anyway. They're like lobster and shrimp and clams. And they sit there and they gobble up this free ethyl mercury and methyl mercury that's absorbable. And you sit there, let's say that 25 picograms of mercury given off was the real McCoy. Well, you eat one bowl of popcorn shrimp and you just had a year's supply of that silver filling and in an absorbable form. So, but more important than that, what if there was a 1 in a million risk something can happen? Well, this is a low-cost, high-quality, consistent restoration for people who don't have the money. Not everybody makes $100,000 a year. Some moms are out there waiting tables at the IHOP or the Waffle House with 2 kids, a deadbeat husband that skipped state, hadn't paid child support in 7 years. She don't have money for gold fillings, silver fillings, bleachings, veneers. And if gosh darn Mother Teresa or Jesus was a dentist, he'd have his eye on the waitress raising 2 kids without insurance and just working off tips. Not everybody's going to get a silver filling. So, that's the failure of healthcare. A single high-cost market stratification that only focuses on the airbags until it breaks on up. There's got to be market differentiation. In fact, I just pulled this out of the newspaper today. I got to read this to you. This is today's newspaper. It says, Appalachia in state of toothlessness. This comes from the Associated Press in Atlanta. Here's another sad distinction for the Appalachian states. More than a third of the elderly people in the region have lost all their teeth, the highest rate in the nation. West Virginia leads the nation in toothlessness. 47.9% of people older than 65 have lost all their teeth. Kentucky, Tennessee, see Al Gore for more, and Georgia aren't far behind, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported Thursday. Most of the lower rates were out west. Fewer than 20% of elderly Americans in Arizona, California, Hawaii, and Oregon, and Wisconsin reporting have blacks, the uninsured, people with less than a high school education, and smokers. So there you go. Everybody beat up amalgams because it's not going to hurt you, Dr. Cosmetic Dentist. It'll just hurt the blacks, the uninsured, people who don't have a high school education, just the poorest of the poor. It's the same thing in Arizona. Everybody beating up these poor Hispanic people that climb over the fence to the land we stole from them to work for $1 an hour picking grapefruit out there and taking care of your kids. And that's the first person you want to shoot and attack when your little Nazi people come out of church, they leave the golf club, and they want to drive by these fields and shoot Hispanics. Come on. It's market segmentation, but if you feel like you're in an HMO situation or a PPO or you're Joe Stevens, who just wrote that beautiful article, The Great White Hype. It was a big debate in dental economics where Dickerson was saying that he didn't like silver fillings, and Joe Stevens saying he liked silver fillings. And I got to write a referee third-person article saying, hey, it's not neither of you right or wrong. It's market segmentation. There's Taco Bell, Mexican restaurants, but whatever side of the fence you are, get your literature, turn it into a handout. I give these people handouts. And a lot of these handouts I get free from the Department of Oral Health. 43 of the 50 states, if you look in the blue pages, have an Office of Dental Health. Usually it's someone who has a dental degree, DDS or DMD, with a master's in public health. And if you go down there, you'll find out 2 things. Number one, you'll be probably the only dentist in the state that visited in the last year. You'll also find out they have millions and millions and billions and trillions of brochures on chewing tobacco and sealants and gum disease. And the one Office of Dental Health in Phoenix, I can get brochures on sealants in Spanish, Farsi, which Iranians speak. I get it in 7 different languages. Just because you know what dental sealants are, do you think everyone knows what sealants are? Do you think that all 265 million Americans know what sealants are? Do you think that all 6 billion earthlings know what a sealant are? You can get patient educations like these free of charge from your Office of Dental Health, or you can call the Association of Pediatric Dentistry, call Smart Practice, Jim and Naomi Road, or you can call their son-in-law, who's now running it, physician MD Kurt Hammond, or his daughter, who's a dentist, Beth Road Hammond. There's tons of brochures, but this is internal marketing. In fact, Jim Rohde, for years, came out of my office every 6 months, and he's like a father figure to me. He'd come out there, and I remember these things he'd say. He said, Howard, look. He said, I asked him, I think I was 4 months out of school or 5 months out of school. I didn't lecture or nothing. He's just the ultimate hard worker. And he came out and he said, a PPO will come out and say, if you sign up, we'll give you all these patients. All you have to do is drop your fee 30%. And he says, a businessman, instead of dropping his fee 30%, would invest 3% in brochures, in marketing, and intro cameras, and welcome mats, and posters on the wall. Do you want to do business with me and invest 3% so you can hang on to that third of your fee? Or do you not want to do business with Smart Practice, just give up a third of your fee and go to a PPO? And I shook his hand. I said, thanks for that tip, Jim. And, if you ever come to Phoenix, you got to stop by Smart Practice, just do a tour of it. If you're a specialist, dental assistant, this is key with specialists. This is my #1 criteria for a specialist. If you're a specialist, endodontists, periodontists, pedodontists, prosthodontists, oral surgeons, endodontists, if they refer to themselves as a specialist and is too proud to admit that they are a dentist, then they will not co-diagnose each patient and create a two-way referral street. I cannot stand oral surgeons. Oral surgeons are the most elitist bunch of pigs out there. Here you get a new patient, you do an FMX, you do a complete exam, you learn it from Dawson, the Pink Institute, you learn it from all these, you do a complete exam, and part of your exam, you diagnose everything, even the things that have no income benefit to you, like the removal of these wisdom teeth that they can't clean, they got gingivitis around it or impacted or whatever, and you took your time, you made the referral, you sent over there, and what does your oral surgeon do? He just pulls them and sends you back. No way. I want a two-way street. I don't want cookies at the end of the year. I don't want to send you 30 sets of wisdom teeth and get a deal of chocolate chip cookies or donuts at Christmas or an Easter basket deal. I want, when the dental assistant gets a referral card to the specialist, I want her to fill it out, Xerox it, then Xerox my treatment plan, give the referral card to the patient, but then fax the referral to the oral surgeon, fax the treatment plan with it, and I want my oral surgeon to walk in there and not say, hi, I'm Dr. Narrow-Minded, all I do is pull wisdom teeth. In fact, I don't even know if you have any arms and legs. I want him to get in the mouth, look at my treatment plan, and say, do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Did I miss something? And I want the oral surgeon to get in there and say, yeah, Dr. Farran's right. You do need to get these wisdom teeth out. You can't clean around them. You can't floss around them. You got gingivitis. You got some bone loss. They're impacted, whatever. But I'll tell you what, did he tell you about this crown over here? That's right. Yeah, you need to get that crown done there because that's a big cavity underneath that. See that on your x-ray? And if you don't get that crown done in a timely manner, it's going to get into the nerve, and then you're going to be looking at twice the cost with a root canal and a crown. And remember, 4 or 5% of those, at least 1 in 20 of those root canals fail. So remember, I know after you get these wisdom teeth out, you probably won't want to see a dentist again for a week or two or whatever, but don't let this tooth that needs crowned wait. And I have patients all day long come back and say, oh, Dr. Farran, you were right. My God, I went and had my wisdom teeth pulled, and he said I better get right back in there, because usually what happens, after they get their wisdom teeth pulled out, which I like to get the gum sealed up first, the wisdom teeth out first, because I don't want to put a crown on a second molar with mushy tissue, and then after you get that crown on there and you get the tissue cleaned up, it shrinks back, and the oral surgeon's pulling a wisdom tooth, and he dangers my crown or cracks the porcelain or pops it off. I like to do first things first. I like to get the exam, I like to get the wisdom teeth out, I like to get the gums all healed up, then do my restorative, unless they're in pain. Pain's always first, obvious. But man, make your specialist a two-way street. It all comes down to the assistant. And I want my assistants to know their assistants. If you got an oral surgeon and you've got a dental assistant been with you for 6 years, and I walk in your office, I say, who have you been referring all your wisdom teeth to? Dr. Elitist Pig. And how long have you been referring to him? 6 years. How long you work here? 6 years. What's his receptionist's name and what's his assistant's name? Oh, I don't know. Specialists, they're the most elitist, because if you ever go to a dental convention, 1/3 of all the dentists have all their staff there. Once again, another market stratification. The dentists who bring all their staff to continuing ed on the aggregate almost double the income of all those stupid people who come by themselves because they think, well, it'll save me money. I'll just get the information and give it to my staff. You really think you're going to take an 8-hour seminar and present it to your staff? Hell, you never talked at Toastmasters once. You have no slides, no material. And what are you going to condense, an 8-hour seminar into 5 minutes? See, you got to invest money into your players. If I have a basketball team, I don't want the owner to go to a basketball contingent. I want the players to go practice together all day, every day. So you go to a specialist convention. I have talked to a room. In fact, just Tuesday, MTS Manji had a lecture here just for specialists, Experdent. And by the way, if you want a great consultant to come in your office, Experdent's one of the best. You can call Experdent at 1-888-977-8722. His phone number is 1-888-977-8722. And I'll just say one thing about MTS Manji in office consulting. My hero is Gordon Christian. When Gordon Christian needed a consultant to come in his office to do just get things tidied up or whatever, any practice management consultant in the world would have done it free of charge, or hell, even paid him $10,000 just to say, I did Gordon's office. Who did Gordon call? One in the United States. He calls Canada, he calls MTS Manji. He's a legend up there. And he paid MTS Manji full fee, retail. Could you imagine having the goal to charge Gordon Christian retail? MTS knows what he's worth. If you want an in-office consultant, call that guy. He's got 10 regional centers. But what you have to do, but anyway, he was lecturing here, I believe it was Wednesday. And it was mostly oral surgery. It was all specialists, only 4 specialists, no staff. There wasn't a single staff member in the room. That is so much like a specialist. They think the whole world is them, and they just do their root canal and send you back. They don't care about nothing but their little root canal, their little wisdom tooth, and you got to break the chain. You got to build, dental assistant, a relationship. Your receptionist doctor needs to know the receptionist over there. That way, when your patient calls up, if you don't like molar endo, you can't afford to do molar endo, okay? Refer it. But when they call it a toothache, you refer them to an endodontist, and the endodontist says they can't get him in for a week. They're sitting there in pain. Finally, their girlfriend says, my dentist does root canals. You got to call him. He might get you in today. We get so many emergency patients doing that way. But if your receptionist has a long-term relationship, she calls her up, Judy, this is Karen from Dr. Fran's office, and one of my best patients here, and she's got a toothache, and doctor doesn't want to do the root canal, and she's in a lot of pain, and I don't want her to wait, and she's got a relationship. They're like, oh, don't worry, I'll squeeze her in at 1 o'clock. My endodontist's fat. He don't need to go to lunch. I'll work her right in. He'll do the whole thing. Don't worry about a thing. It's all about relationships. Billionaires are about people and relationships, not about filling out some little index card and a referral card and giving it to him and sending him back out into the jungle. Everybody wants to be relationship guided, not thrown back into the wild chaos of the jungle. So basically, then your assistant, every time you make a referral to an endodontist, periodontist, pedodontist, orthodontist, whatever, you fill out the card, you give it to the patient. If they need to be seen right away, or if they got anything quirky, it's just value-added customer service. Remember, it's only best service, best product, or best price. Best price is least offensive. Best product, your patient won't understand. The only thing you'll understand if it's white, tooth color, looks good, and didn't hurt. But best service is like when they're checking out, we set them down from an operations logistics point of view. Just say to them, by the way, do you want me to get them on the phone for you? I know Mary Ann, the receptionist, is a real sweetheart. I've known her for years and years. Do you want me to get her on the phone for you? Oh, that'd be great, because I'm wondering, because I think I met my deductible here, but will there be an insurance there? Oh, hell, let's just get her on the phone. He'll pick up that line there. I'll pick up this line. Let's all 3 talk. And that's just customer service. They feel like they're in the good hands, people. Today's dental's taking care of you every step of the way. Specialists are a cash flow drain if all they do is do their one little procedure. But if they're co-diagnosing, just like your hygienist, empowered with a uniform and a name tag and an intraoral camera, talking English, going to all your continuing ed, if your specialist is doing co-diagnosis for what you do, my gosh, it's absolutely all the same family. Make it a 2-way referral road. Don't sit there and make it a 1-way street. And take this tape to your specialist and cram this tape down his mouth and say, you do this. And smart practice also, Jim Rody taught me this deal about his blood pressure monitor. For $181, you can call Smart Practice at 1-800-522-0800, 1-800-522-0800, And when you're, I'm 36 years old. I don't care about my blood pressure. I've never had a physical. I'm still at the end of that period where you think you're young, going to live forever. But they say when you're over 50 or 55, you start really wondering about your blood pressure. He's got a little blood pressure kit. The hygienist and the assistants, by the way, before you give anybody anesthetic with any epinephrine, legally, ethically, according to all the dental schools, you're supposed to take a blood pressure. You can't give some guy epinephrine. What if he had a blood pressure going 180 over 120 and you gave him a bunch of epi? So taking a blood pressure, not only is it supposed to be protocol, which I say supposed to because I know I might be a little anal, but I know 90% of the dentists don't do this. But look, it's a value-added service. Taking a patient's blood pressure at every appointment is a great value-added service. Bundle it into your current fee. It is medically necessary before you use any vasoconstrictor, epinephrine-containing anesthetic, and patients over 40 love it. And it's a neat little kit, and look at Walgreens. Remember Mr. Walgreens, this guy knew it all. 24-hour pharmacies, drive-through, group practice. And what does he have at every Walgreens? You go in there, it doesn't even cost you a dime. You sit in that chair, you put your arm in the deal, you push a button, and in fact, next time I see Jim Rode, I'm going to ask him about that machine and if he can introduce that to dentistry. Or I'm going to ask Pete Frechette about that, or Stan Bergman, Henry Schein. But I really think that if someone really checked out that machine, that'd be a really neat thing to sit out in the waiting room. Now, dental assistants, staff, receptionists, the two most common reasons that 56,399 people gave the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Atlanta reasons for not having a dental visit in the past year. Everyone thinks always money, 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 money. Now, look, this is the biggest study ever done on it, and the number one reason was they perceived they did not have a problem. Reason number two was cost. Cost was 26.6%. Perceived they didn't have a problem was 44.6%. The average dentist retires with about $1.8 million of dentistry that was diagnosed over the years that was never done, not only by him, it was never done by anyone. You left $1.8 million on the table. You thought it was all cost. You thought it was all insurance. And 44.6% of it was because you sit there and you go in the hygiene deal and you don't allow your hygienist to talk because you're low self-esteem, you're anally retentive, and you think you got to be a nuclear brain surgeon to, come on, doctor. There's a hole in the tooth. It's a cavity. What do you need, a CAT scan, an MRI, a Ouija board? You think this hygienist doesn't know that? And you don't let her talk, and then you go in there and you say, Margaret, chart that he needs an MO on tooth number 3 and a DO on tooth number 4. Okay, Fred, other than the MO and a DO, you're doing fine, and I'll see you later. He don't know what an MO or a DO is. He goes home, his wife says, well, how was your appointment? He said, well, the only thing he remembers, he said, well, you're doing fine. He said, I'm doing fine. The CDC want to know, how come Grandpa just came home from the physician, he has a prescription for high blood pressure pills, only 11% of them get filled, and they're sitting there looking at Grandpa like, well, and Grandpa's like, well, what? Well, the visit with the physician, what happened? It went great. Like, what do you mean it went great? He just said you have high blood pressure, you're going to have a stroke, you're going to die. Cerebral vascular accident is the third highest cause of death in America. Why the hell aren't you getting it filled? And Grandpa says, you mean I have high blood pressure? I'm like, oh my God. And they're going back there, they're filming, they're surveying, they're watching these physicians, they're talking Latin and Greek, it's one-way communication, the pupils are going off, Grandpa's not hearing, he's totally lost. He comes back and focuses on, right when he hears the physician say, have a nice day, he walks out there. Why don't you, if the physician would blow off the whole hour conversation, just walk in and say, Grandpa, you're going to die. You got high blood pressure. See these pills? If you took a blue pill every day, you might not die from it. When the blue pills run out, come back and see me. Now repeat that to me. Are these suppositories? No. Let's start all over, okay? Okay, not in your rear end, in your mouth, okay? One blue pill in your mouth every morning. You got high blood pressure, okay? Talk English, and I think that's why you got to empower dental assistants, hygienists, and receptionists, because I really think that dentists get so lost after 8 years of college, so much physics and calculus and microbiology and Krebs cycles and periodic tables, I think they almost can't even talk to a third of the people. They're so anal. So empower your assistants, make them long-term. And dentists always come back and always say to me the weirdest thing, say, yeah, well, you could get sued for having the assistant do that because that's an exam. You know what? Well, go ask Jeffrey Toner how many dental assistants or doctors were sued from having the dental assistant talk in the last 10 years, and he'd probably tell you to go check yourself in Charter Hospital. And when you talk to these people, remember, they got to be looking at their tooth on the ceiling while you're talking. This guy's laying there while I have frozen his picture on the top. This guy comes in, and I said, how may I help you? Now, he's sitting up in his chair first, And Jan's down there like Vanna White, you know, with the valve pointing as I'm talking. And when you walk in there, you don't dogmatically one-way shove something down this guy's throat. You sit there and say, how may I help you? Just like that. And this guy was very mad. He was very mad. And the madder they get, dental assistants, receptionists, staff, do not walk in the doctor's room and say, hey, the guy in room 3 is really pissed off. He's really mad. He hates you. Let's go. Now your doctor, he's got blood clots. He's letting gas. He goes in the bathroom. He hurls up his coffee. He doesn't want to go in there. And, you know, before the Bulls game, they turn down the lights, they razz up the music, and the teammates try to fire each other up. Why don't you walk in there and say, hey, doctor, are you ready to go? Did you get a lot of sleep? Did you pound that coffee down? We got a good game going in room 4. Come on, let's go win this guy over. He doesn't have to know he's walking into a damn tornado or a hurricane or a 50-mile-an-hour headwind. And you walk in and you go, hey, Frank, how you doing? You go, Frank, what's going on, buddy? He said, oh, my filling broke. And it's one you did. I said, well, good. I don't like him to last more than 6 months. Let's take a look at it. And I stick the camera in his mouth and say, well, which one is it? He goes, that one right there. I said, well, Frank, what happened? He goes, oh, my filling broke. It's one you did. I said, Frank, your filling looks great. Where the hell's your tooth? And he goes, I think it was my filling. Frank, see the big black thing right there? See that black thing? That's the filling. Where's your tooth? And he goes, oh, so that was my tooth? Yeah, where is it? Well, I don't know. I said, how'd it break? I don't know. Well, were you in a car wreck? Did your wife hit you? Did you get in a bar fight? And he goes, no, I didn't get in a bar fight. My wife didn't hit me. I don't know. I just woke up this morning and noticed it broke. I said, well, when do you think it broke? I think it broke maybe last night at dinner. I said, what were you eating? He goes, meatloaf. Who made it? My wife. Frank, I'd get a new wife, man. If she was making me meatloaf, my teeth breaking out like that, I'd get a new wife. And he says, oh, no. So you're saying it's my tooth? I said, Frank, who did this filling? He's going, well, I thought it was one you did. No, Frank, see that filling? That filling's black. Okay, we do white ones. We don't do black ones. Okay, these are 50% mercury, 30% silver, a little bit of 12% copper, zinc, or tin. They're fine. They're the old days. But, you know, when the gas station attendant took the lead out of gas, I thought we'd take the mercury silver out of fillings. We do tooth color. They're prettier. Because, see, the tooth-colored fillings, it's not so much that they're white. I mean, come on, Frank, I'm bald. You look like you fell out of a truck. I said, what we like the white ones for is because they adhesively glue the tooth back together. The initial design of a white filling was that it was an adhesive dentistry. It glued the whole tooth together. You know, Sir Isaac Newton said there were 6 forces. He said if there was a lever, and he said the lever is long enough you could lift up the world. He said if the lever went around, it was a screw. He said if the lever went over a wheel, it was a pulley. If it went into a wheel, it was a wheel and axle. And he said if it 2 levers came together, it was a wedge. And remember the farmers like Daniel Boone, they put that wedge in a gosh darn tree trunk, they'd smack it and wedge it in 2. See, these are non-adhesive dentistry. And these things, you know, they're act like a wedge. Now, Frank, you've been coming here 5 years. Now, you better get this right. What kind of filling is this? I know it's a flossing filling. Right, because see, look where the filling is. See, everywhere you brush, you've never had a cavity. You're 55 years old, Frank. You've never had a cavity where you brush. But everywhere you floss, not only, now what kind of flossing filling is this? I don't know, I just thought it was a floss. No, Frank, it's not a flossing filling. It's a double flossing filling. And Frank, not only is it a double flossing filling, what is this big brown gunk underneath here? What is that right there? That's a flossing cavity. Not just one, you have one on both sides. Frank, you have a double flossing cavity underneath a 30-year-old double flossing filling. Frank, you got to give me a high five, buddy. I mean, I bet you worked hard to grow a big old burger like that. I mean, I bet you haven't flossed one time in 30 years, Frank. I mean, not every day do you see a double flossing cavity under double flossing filling. Now, Frank, what are we going to have to do with this today? You said, well, can you fill it? Fill what? Frank, what do you think is this? Michael Jordan palming a gosh darn ball? You can't hang on to that. You only got one tooth over here. And he says, so what do we have to do? I said, Frank, look at this tooth behind her. What do we do here? I said, Frank, what's that? Jan, hand me the periodontal probe. She hands me the periodontal probe, and I sit there and go, ah! See, Frank, that's the nerve. Now, Frank, what do we do back here? Jan, when did we do this one behind it? 4 years ago? Frank, remember you came here 4 years ago? Same damn thing. Root canal, billet, and crown. Came in here, what was that, Jan? 8 years ago? Same damn thing, root canal, billet, and crown. And Frank, I told you, you know, when you first came in, I think it was in 1987, I told you that this needed to take out, and you need to put a new gold inlay, onlay, you need to fix this thing up, you need to start flossing, you come in every 6 months for a cleaning. But Frank, I love you, because you won't come in for a cleaning, you won't floss, you just like come in here every 2 years, give me $2,000. In fact, Frank, will you please do me a big favor? we're trying to budget for next year, and I noticed that you have this double flossing filling. It's cracked down the middle. I told you to replace that 3 years ago. And if you crowned it today, see, it'd just be a crown for like $700. But see, if you promise not to floss it and promise to wait till the whole thing busts out, it'll be $1,600. So Frank, please don't crown this one right now for $600 when you can just wait one more year and I'll get $1,600. And they start laughing. So you're saying I need to, so you're saying I need a root canal and a crown here and a crown here. I said, hell yeah, Frank, I've been saying it since 1987. And I don't care if you do, don't. I don't care either way, whatever you want to do. And once again, they'll say, I suppose I'm going to make a mortgage payment on your house. Frank, there's no mortgage on a house. It's free and clear. Jan, go get him a Xerox copy of it. Do you want to see the title, Frank? Frank, why don't you come over to my damn house? Hell, you paid for my damn house. Oh, hell, I'll come over to the house. I'll buy you a drink. And he's like, and they just laugh. But talk English. Don't sit there Latin and Greek, anal or retentive, dry, while their pupils are drifting off or they're not comprehending them. Bring it down to the level. I talk to all these people. When they come in there, I always do a mental trick on me. I always try to match this guy up with who is this guy most match to my family reunion or my wife's family reunion. I mean, if you ever go to a Farran family reunion in Parsons, Kansas, the only thing worse than that is my wife's family reunion in Caldwell, Kansas. See, Parsons, 35,000, and Caldwell is only 2,000. And I mean, my God, you put our two family reunions together, it looks like a genetic freak show, okay? I got uncles coming in that hadn't worn underwear in 10 years, overalls, whole 9 yards, and I talked to him just like it'd be one of my uncles. And I wouldn't sit down with my uncle with a bunch of panos and safts and study models and talk a bunch of Latin and Greek. I just look him in the eye and tell him like it is and tell him the damn truth, and he'd take it like a man and be glad for it. And this guy comes in, what do we tell him? Okay, what you got here is you got two. When did you have those done, Amy? Oh, I don't remember. Well, I mean, was it yesterday? Was it a week ago? Was it last year? When do you think you had it done? You know, I think I must have been about 18 years old. I said, okay, well, look, you're 38. You had these done 18. They're flossing cabinet fillings. See, everywhere you brush, there's air. There's 20.9% oxygen. Anaerobes don't live. Everywhere you have gingivitis and fillings, in between your teeth. These are, you got them done about, you think about 14 to 18. Now you're 38. So they've been in there what, 20 years? And what do you have under there 20 years later? 2 more flossing cavities again. So then you take them out and you put them back in there. I said, now look, Amy, the only reason we put these white ones in there is so that it glues them back together. Now you say it's cosmetic dentistry. The insurance tries to get out of paying it by saying it's cosmetic dentistry. Look, I didn't do it because it's cosmetic dentistry. I did it because it is adhesive dentistry. It glues the walls back together. Those silver ones, they sit in there like a wedge. Every time you bite down on them, they push the teeth apart. And when you put these wedges in the teeth, if you leave them in there long enough, they will do their job and they will wedge the tooth in two. See, all wedges, if left in long enough, will do their job and wedge the tooth in two to get your tooth either a crown, or if you leave it in long enough, you'll get a root canal and a crown. See, dentists don't leave these in their teeth. Most every dentist I knew had all these things ripped out before they even got out of dental school. Hell, you're sitting there in your sophomore class dental school saying, damn, I got one of them in my mouth. Once you know what these things are, they're wedges. Ask Daniel Boone what will happen if you leave a wedge in a log and keep jumping on it and hitting it long enough. Eventually, it'll split firewood for you. So we're not going to split firewood, and we're going to do adhesive dentistry. But I'll tell you what, Amy, you had 2 floss cavities at 18. They put in 2 flossing fillings. It's 20 years later, you got 2 flossing cavities again, and we put in 2 more flossing fillings. But see, now you're 38. When you don't floss from birth to 40, you basically just get flossing cavities. But you don't floss from 40 to 70. It's not a question if you get I don't even care about the cavities. It's the gums. You know, 27 out of 100 Americans don't have any teeth at 65, and it's all from gum disease, all in between the teeth. And I love the Far Side joke the best. He says, your teeth are great, but your gums got to go. And you want to wear a denture about as much as you want to wear a glass eye or a wooden leg. You know, if you got a wooden leg, you can walk from point A to point B, but you don't run, skip, or hop. Plastic teeth, you can eat, but you're not biting into a bacon cheeseburger and tearing chicken in half and chewing the cartilage off an antelope's knee while it's still kicking. You cut up your foods in small pieces and then empower your staff from a human behavior point of view. You know, this is my dental assistant's room or my hygienist's room. Take all their their plaques, put their family up there, put all this stuff up there, put them in a uniform, put them in a name tag, take them to all your continuing education, because every time your dental assistant, hygienist, receptionist moves up a notch, they lift you up even higher. Remember what Igor said, 2 + 2 = 5. okay? And you got to get these photo albums. I think I sell the best ones, but I'm not trying to sell you a photo album, but you can buy one. Call the Farran report at 1-602-598-0001. You know, I get more dentists that call up that number and say, what's your 1-800 number? Can I call you back on your 1-800 number? Here's what I say about my 1-800 number. Screw you. If you can't afford a long-distance phone call, you're not a client of mine. My gosh, you're so tight. But on these photo albums, the only reason I did my own photo album, because everyone else, I mean, Jack Welch of GE. GE has 25 companies. Jack Welch says he can buy and sell these companies and manage them all day long because he has their business condensed index card. He said if the CEO of this company can't tell me on an index card 5x7 if he's best product, best service, best price, what's his unique selling proposition, he's got to be first, second, or third in the industry, kicking ass, profitable, or we're selling it. And the minute he's not best product, best service, best price, in a 1, 2, or 3 person race, he's got to be first, second, or third in his industry, and he's got to be number 1 in best product, best service, or best price, preferably at least 2 out of 3. It has to be 2 out of 3. He sells the company. And as long as he's got that on index card, he'll kick butt. And then you open up these photo albums, and look, I mean, if you can explain what was done here to a 6th grader, and when people say explain a 6th grader, a lot of dentists think, well, that's insulting. My clientele is smarter than a 6th grade average. We're not talking about a 6th grade mentality as far as they're being stupid. We're saying, look, I'm 36. I have a doctorate in dental surgery. I have a master's in business administration. But if you're selling me a transmission job, I want you to bring it down to a 4th grade level. It's not that I'm stupid. It's that I have no understanding of transmissions, timing chains, ball bearings, motor weight oil. My wife does. She grew up on a farm with 5 brothers. She pulled 3 transmissions before she was 16. We're always driving down the road, and she'll like mute Alanis Morissette and say, you hear that? It's your lifters. And I say, well, if you turn the damn stereo back up, it goes away. But if you're going to talk to me transmission, condense it to a 5x7 card. Make your own photo albums. In fact, I make my photo albums look like you made them. I get these things at a Walmart, and what I'd really like you to do is get this photo album and get your camera and have the goal that the next 5 years you'll replace all my pictures with yours. A lot of dentists sit there and they call me and say, yeah, but I think that's unethical to be showing this work as if it was my own when it's not. I'm like, you're so anal. When you walk into a cosmetologist, do you sit there and say to the girl, hey, did you do all those bouffants? Are you trying to tell me you did all those people? Huh, did you? Everybody knows that it's not making a claim to fame. It didn't say work by you. It didn't say work by me. In fact, when you look at those big dental pictures, and those egomaniacs sell them are so egomaniac, they're selling you a picture of this big dental smile, and they're so egomaniac they have to put their name on it. You won't find my name on anything I make. Poster boards for the same thing. I want it to look homegrown, like you made it in the bathtub. You made dental pictures on Monday, a photo album on Tuesday, and gin on Wednesday. I want you to sit there, make it look homegrown, communicate with your employees, your patients. Behavioral psychology has a simple premise. A series of predictable rewards and punishments can be used as incentives to induce a subject to alter its behavior. So you basically know your market, know how people work. Women are the decision makers in dentistry. Now, in 1960, 38% of women were in the labor force. 1993, it's gone to 57%. And percent of married women with children under 18 in the labor force, in 1960, it was only 28%. 1993, it's 68%. This is why staff, your hours, doctors will come at me and they'll giggle and they'll say, well, you're right. You know, we still work banker's hours. Yeah, maybe banker's hours in 1960. Have you gone to the bank in the last 10 years? 24 hours a day. They plug them in grocery stores. They got ATM machines. If you think you're working banker's hours, you got another thing coming, buddy. You're still stuck in 1960. Back in that great sovereign profession days, it's consumerism now. 7% of employees care for an elderly loved one. 6% of employees have more than one job. Full-time workers spend 138 hours more per year working in 89 than they did 69. You know, the whole big premise is that when the refrigerator, when the kitchen, as soon as it got a dishwasher and a microwave and a disposal and electric trash compactor, you'd have so much more time to sit on the couch. Every time they come out with more stuff, you end up working harder. Remember when the computers came out and they said it'll reduce paper? God. My God, I've never used so much paper in my life until I went to a computer. I think I have a full-time forest growing in the backyard. What are the top 10 most important criteria that employees are looking for? Competitive salaries, number one. Number two, an enjoyable work environment. You got to make them have pride of workmanship. Empower them. Take them to CE. Give them their entrepreneurship operatory, their treatment room. Give them their own treatment room. Let them put their stuff there. Just like a cosmetologist does hair. You'll walk in there and she'll say, oh no, come over here. That's not my station. You go to her station. She's got her little kids' pictures, all of her little stuff. Number three, fun is a core value. About 1 out of every 100 people that goes to my seminar, gets any of my books or tapes, they always have to write me an annually returned letter telling me I was unprofessional, I was, and they were watching it in their waiting room and they found this to be low taste or whatever. I always take a big red magic marker and I write on it real big, get help, and mail it back to them. Number four, where work is not a four-letter word, have fun at work. I mean, look at Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines and America West both have 5% of the market. Southwest Airlines owns all their aircraft, which means they're profitable, and they have made a profit every quarter for 40 quarters in a row. America West leases all their aircraft. They've had layoffs, their stock's gone to zero, and what does the newspaper say tonight? What's going on tonight? Do you hear that in the news? They're going on the receptionists or flight attendants are going on strike. How come both people have 5% of the market? One's having their dental flight attendants going on strike, and they've gone in Chapter 11 3 times, and they lease all their aircraft, and the other one owns all their aircraft, and he's never had a strike. And Herb Keller's the only airline company in the world whose pilots are not part of the National Pilot Union. His own pilots have their own group of Southwest pilots, and they don't need to go through some union. And look at when you get on a plane at Delta or American. You got these flight attendant girls in these black stiff shoes, high heels with these little tight skirts and girdles. They've never smiled once in 5 years. No one's having fun. Everything's anal. And everybody that owns the company thinks it's professional. The only people they impress are doctors and dentists and lawyers and other anally retentive people. You go on Southwest Airlines, tennis shoes, khaki shorts, having a fun t-shirt. And then they sit there and they're taking off. They're saying, they say things like, if you hate yourself, please do not fasten your seatbelt. That way, if we ever have an accident, you'll be quicker to die. I mean, they're always saying funny things, funny jingles. They'll get on there and sing like the theme song to Gilligan's Island, but they'll change all the words. They're just funnier than hell. And they come by and they'll come by your place and they'll say, tonight would you like steak or chicken? You'll say chicken, and they'll throw you a bag of peanuts. And then the next guy says steak. They throw him the same bag of peanuts. All they do is have fun. Make fun a core value. Fun is something where, I've been in a dental office before with a receptionist. We were doing this little staff meeting, and the receptionist, she giggled one time, and then she actually said to the doctor's wife, is it okay to laugh? And I thought, is it okay to laugh? What kind of a pervert environment is this? Where work is not a four-letter word. Make it fun. A fun and enjoyable customer base. Remember the Nicole Brown Simpson? My gosh, you don't make love, kiss, and hang out with people who beat the hell out of you and eventually hack you to death, okay? And you sit there, if you've got customers who aren't having fun, who are very anal, who are very mad, let alone ever use profanity or chew you out or rip you a new one, when those people leave, you call them back up and you say, Frank, I was very disturbed with the way you acted. Obviously, the way you act like that is because you lost all faith in your doctor-patient relationship, your doctor-assistant relationship, your doctor-hygiene relationship, and you certainly lost with me the doctor-receptionist relationship. And there are 2,000 dentists in Maricopa County. You certainly don't need to come here. You give me the name of a dentist. I'm shipping your chart, your x-rays out, and yada, yada, yada. And the assistant receptionist or is too intimidated to do that, you're the bull elephant there. You get on the phone, numbnuts, and you call that guy. I don't ever want to see you in here because my dad told me 1,000 times, the customer never comes first. Your staff comes first so that they can treat the customer right. And when the customer gets you and gets you to pry in the relationship between your long-term staff and your customer, you always side with your staff. The customer does not come first. He comes second. Your staff comes first. Those are your team members. You defend them and yada, yada, yada. And when any customer wants to go over their head, I walk up there and they say, why do you want to see me? Well, she's saying yada, 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 and I know that, we've known each other for 10 years, and I just want to tell you, I want to see what you think. I said, well, I think, I just try to do everything she says because I'm just afraid one day she's going to fire my ass and hire some 20-year-old dentist out of school with tall, dark, and handsome and send me off to the gosh darn funny farm. That's the receptionist. She owns this place. She gives my paycheck. I'd do whatever she does. I'd find another damn dentist. And they're just gold. But my receptionist, she's standing up proud. She's beating her chest, and she's looking at that numbnut like, see, I know what I'm doing. Don't go around me. Military. You got 2 million employees in the military. You got Trident submarines that could go out to sea, turn around, and take out every single city, over 50,000 people in its own America in 10 minutes. How does the military guard against that ever happening? Number one, what is the cardinal sin of the military? What is the ultimate career buster in the military? You do it one time, you're out of the military, you'll never be promoted. You know what it is? Not AWOL, it's worse than that. What's the number one cardinal sign? Can I get this copy nuked? Pretty please. Break the chain of command. I mean, when you first go into the military, the first thing you do is they say, paint all the first thing they tell you when you walk in the Army, they give you a can of green paint and a paintbrush. They say, okay, if it doesn't move, paint it green. Everybody just starts painting everything green. One guy raised his hand and says, well, this one doesn't need painted. You don't get it. No one in the military takes care of more of 8 people, and then those 8 people, they each take care of 8 people, and it starts off with one CEO, commander-in-chief, and works its way down all the way down the bottom of the chain, and you don't break the chain of command, and so what you do is a fun, enjoyable customer base. Number 6, how much the organization cares for them. Number 7, intelligent and nice people to work with. Number 8, variety in the work. Number 9, ease in moving back and forth from management to individual contribution. Sometimes you'll have a staff member, a receptionist, go from maybe a receptionist to the office manager. 2 years later, she's got a baby or whatever. She's like, I wish I never would have taken this promotion. Make it an easy two-way street to say, really, you want to go back from an office manager back to receptionist? That's fine. Latest, most up-to-date dental equipment technology. No one wants to work in a place with dingy equipment. You want to work in an airline company that's got new planes, new trains, new equipment. Make it fun to work with. And on your organization, just make it fun. Organizations must learn how to manage and sustain change as part of a continuous process of improvement, renewal, and transformation. You know, disintegrate really breaks down into dis and integrate. Integrity is wholeness. Disintegrate is to undo. It means mind, body, family, spirit, and community. The 3 rules of managing a family business, since we usually have a spouse in there, once again, family members do not work in the business unless they're at least as able as any non-family member and work at least as hard. The doctor's spouse is either the number 1 asset in the business or she's the number 1 disaster. And what's the difference? Some of the women are in there, the spouses or the women doctors' husbands, and they say, well, my gosh, I own half this thing. I got all the incentives at stake. I mean, they should have a bigger incentive to make this work than anybody else. That's why when you go to continuing ed, the doctor's there, and usually his wife's there, but they don't bring in the staff because, you know, they don't understand team building. But they'll sit there, and she's either, the doctor's wife is either the first one to work, the last one to leave, and thinks about dentistry in the middle of the night and is doing books, billings, insurance, dealing with accountants, or she's always, or no one can depend on her. And you're sitting there on Monday morning and the phones are ringing and the receptionist's up there thinking, well, where's this damn wife? She's supposed to be here at 8 o'clock. And the doctor's up there giggling, well, she woke up this morning and her mom has diarrhea, so she's going to go over there and change her Depend underwear. And the receptionist's smiling back to you like, because you're her boss. But she's taking aside that little witch. I wish hell she'd quit and I could rely on someone. How would you like to be out there in the Bulls and you go throw the ball to Michael Jordan and he's not there? Okay? One top job in the family business, one top job is always filled by an outsider who is not a member of the family. The mafia called this person their conciliere. This person not even Sicilian. Usually it was a Jewish lawyer or a Jewish CPA or a Jewish accountant. All non-family member professionals have to be treated with equals with full citizenship in the firm. If the doctor's wife is in there and the doctor's in there, the staff are kind of caught in between. Because number one, what if the doctor tells you to go right and the wife says go left? There has to be an outsider, a conciliar. Maybe it's the longest staff person there, the oldest, the most self-esteem. Maybe it's a hygienist, been there 10 years, or maybe it's a receptionist, or someone that the staff can say, well, here's their outsider, because here's the dilemma. Doctor said go right, the wife said go left, and in the military they have an exact chain of command, and I'm sitting here in a family business, I don't have an exact chain of command. I got 2 people telling me 2 different things. Remember how stupid dental school was? If you didn't have the same instructor start you as finish it, you never pass. Because if you started with one instructor, you'd say, okay, I want you to do this, this. So you get in there and do this, this, and this. And then he went to lunch. So you get any other instructor, it'll never be right. Because dentistry's art, No two dentists ever saw the same filling, crown, painting, sculpture, and thought it was the same thing. In fact, if I was doing a filling and the guy left, I mean, I'd go leave too. Hell, I'd go outside and smoke a cigarette or whatever. I'd wait till the instructor came back because, my gosh, I was waiting till he came back because I knew I wasn't even going to think about having another dentist come in here and look at some qualitative thing. The bipolar continuum of life and death says everything is growing or dying. You need to be growing continually, says Tony Robbins. Abraham Maslow is one of the most genius psychologists ever to live. He wrote a book, Theory of Human Motivation, and read Maslow's theory on management. That was just genius. But everybody starts out, these were his hierarchical needs in 1940 came out with. Bottom is physiological needs. Everybody, first and foremost, needs food, water, and sex. These are the fundamental drives. If you don't eat, if you don't drink water, you're dead in about 3 days. If you don't eat, you're dead in a month. And most importantly, sex. If one species forgets to have sex, you're not here 4 billion years later. You know, they think the planet Earth was inoculated by one life form, probably a virus, 4 billion years ago. Due to evolution and mutation and everything that Darwin said, 4 billion years later, you got about 100 million species that have either that are still here or come and gone here, from a dinosaur to a bacteria to a virus to you. And you know what? You cannot be standing here 4 billion years later if there wasn't a continuous chain of life all the way back to the first thing 4 billion years ago, and then before that, wherever the hell that came from. So, and in humans, who was given the sex drive? The male. I mean, women say, well, we got a sex drive, but you don't even know what a sex drive is compared to males if you study all other mammals. You might have an intellectual sex drive, but men are given this burden. You see that in all the mammals. And after a man and a woman are not hungry and they're not thirsty and they're not horny, then they move up to level 2. Security needs. They need a clothing and shelter. And then as soon as they're not hungry, thirsty, and horny and they got clothes and shelter, then they need a friend. Why? Because mammals are interdependent. They're conformists. Why is that? You could not survive on your own. You only survive in a group. So go back through the jungle. If you were in a jungle of 25 apes 3-4 million years ago, in fact, the oldest hominid fossil ever found, Lucy, is right here at Arizona State University. She was a 40-inch tall, 40-pound, 17-year-old chick. I'm sure that guy had a 12-pack who mated with her. And you sit there and if she was driven out of the pack, she would have died. She'd been eaten that night, carnivores, whatever, okay? So all humans have a massive belongingness need, and that drives you to conform. For instance, if you go into the first grade, ask a whole class of first graders, how many people when they grow up want to be an artist? They all raise their hand. Come back in the 5th grade. How many want to be an artist? There's like 2 guys raise their hand. Come back 12th grade. Nobody raised their hand. Every year of school that goes by, you have more and more pressure to conform. Because if you don't conform to the group needs, you get ran out of the group and you're eaten by hyenas and leopards and cheetahs, okay? So everybody has conformity. So who has the least creative thoughts? The people who have the most education. As you go further and further and further, have you ever gone to a damn dental convention? Everyone's wearing the same suit, the same shoes, the same socks. They look like a bunch of ducks. Quack, 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 all marching off of a cliff. You know who has all the creative? Look at the billionaires. My God. Has Bill Gates even had a bath in the last 10 days? Warren Buffett, he's got more hair on his eyebrows than I got on my head. Look at David Hornbrook. He's probably the single greatest cosmetic dentist that ever lived. Hell, he's got long hair, a ponytail, he's got an earring. He just tattooed 3 dolphins swimming around his arm. Hell, he's got so much self-esteem, he has independent thoughts in an interdependent world. You got to understand belongingness needs. You know, you see little kids come out. I even saw it first. I saw the first glimpse of this in my 9-year-old. It was so damn funny, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He came home in 3rd grade, and he was all sad, and I said, Eric, what's wrong? I thought he was going to cry. He was saying that his friend's mad at him. I'm like trying to be loving, concerning, like listen to the story, and I want to say, who cares about your friend? Tell him to jump off a gosh darn cliff. And until you have food, water, sex, clothes, shelter, and you have a friend, you will not go to hierarchical need number 4, which is your self-esteem. And until you have self-esteem and you start to like yourself because you have friends, because you have clothing, shelter, and you're not hungry, horny, or thirsty, finally, you can reach the top, self-actualization, where you can actualize yourself. This is what the Marines are saying in the commercial where, be all that you can be. Well, you can't be all that you can be until you fulfill all the lower hierarchical needs. Physiological needs, your security needs, your belongingness needs. We all need predictability, yet we need variety. We all need private space, yet we need recognition. These are the dilemmas of the human nature. No matter what humans do, they do it for a reason of need. Tony Robbins said, to be significant, you have to be unique. To be unique causes you to be different than your peers. Yet you have strong belongingness needs. This causes an inner emotional needs conflict. Thus the saying that he has thick skin. Or they say you're an egomaniac or whatever. A coward dies 1,000 deaths. A courageous man dies once. Don't worry about the crowd. And this is, it even comes with LD Panky. Remember, he said 2% are masters, 8% are adept, on and on and on. The 6 circular parameter questions, which determine your own internal self-esteem and self-actualization needs, are actually the 6 parameter circular questions that humans keep coming back to are, who am I? What do I really need? Where did all this come from? When is this realistically over? What do I really want? How will they score my life when it's over? These are questions circulating in your unconscious, whether you know it or not, that determine your self-esteem, your self-actualization. And then the 1 circular parameter questions, which determines your own external psychological safety and social needs, are simply, how can I survive long enough to reproduce and have offspring so that my species will survive? Most of that biology stuff is taken care of in a wealthy nation as the United States. And then also your behavior is shaped as you go. You do a behavior, you either get punished or the behavior is avoided and it goes away, or this behavior gets rewarded and it keeps reoccurring. And so you're either positive reinforcement or avoidance of a negative stimuli will cause the behavior to reoccur, or you'll get punishment or an extinction of a stimulus you were looking for that didn't come, and then a behavior will go away. So whatever response you already have linked to a stimulus is your anchor. Change your anchors for success. Change the way you program yourself. Did your first drink of beer taste good? Do you associate alcohol with the pleasure after the drink or the pain of the morning after? In success, people party. In failure, people ponder. Go listen to Tony Robbins' motivation tapes. He's got Fortune Management now in dentistry. He has a whole consulting arm in dentistry. Call Fortune Management. Go see Tony Robbins. Go to his 1-day seminars, 2-day seminars, 3-day seminar. The guy can get you to think all day long. Take your staff with you. And back to human behavior. Darwin said the #1 goal of all species is to reproduce and have offspring. Target your market in kids. If you get the kid, give them things, mom and dad, or a bonus if you can get the kid. Give them positive reinforcements. Upgrade it from just a balloon. Give them Barbie dolls if they had a root canal. Do exciting stuff. In human behavior, everybody still tries to tell everyone that all boys and girls are the same. You know it's not true. You know it's never been true. And there's nothing wrong with that. Gosh darn, do boys really want to be girls? Do girls have to be boys? We can be separate but equal. We have unique. I wouldn't want to be a woman. You shouldn't want to be a man. You should want to be yourself. A gun shoots death. I shouldn't read that one. Male tattooing, motorcycles, big houses, and sports cars are all different expressions of the same cultural drive for males to show that they are successful and can protect their females and their families. The cultural desire for tan skin came because popular in the 1920s when cars became able to take you south for a vacation. The suntan was the only proof of your vacation that you could take back home. Prior to 1920s, tan skin was associated with a low-class social worker who had to work outside on a farm. In Tahiti, a flower tucked behind a woman's right ear means that she is available. Above the left ear, closer to her heart, means she is taken. Which finger do you put your wedding ring on? Well, it's your left. You know why it's your left instead of your right? Because the left was close to your heart. I'm saying these things because you just think, oh, somebody put on the left finger and that's all there is. There is a reason for everything. And I want to teach you to start finding what are the fundamental human reasons of behavior. Why did they start taking place? Why do you read a book from left to right, and in China they read a book from right to left? Because 11% of people are left-handed, and whoever started Western civilization writing back in Mesopotamia was a left-handed person and wrote left to right, even though 89% of the people reading it are right-handed. In China, the first person who started the Chinese and the Asian language was right-handed, and they read a book right to left. That's why in advertising, The back side of the journal costs more, costs the most, and the inside journal of the left first page costs less. Always get to the reason. I'm not telling you there's a reason for your practice. You need to know why Tahiti puts a flower in the right ear, left ear. I want you to start finding out, why do people do what they do? Why do women have to cover their hair in ancient churches, mosques, and synagogues when men don't? Can you answer these questions? The universal appealing sexual characteristics across all cultures are youth and health. What is dancing? Dancing is stationary locomotion. Dancing comes from mates, men and women getting together, and by stationary locomotion they were showing, look, I'm healthy, I'm physical fit, I could have your baby. Men shave their faces simply to look younger. If a man spends 10 minutes a day from age 18 to 60 shaving, this adds up to 2,556 hours or 106 days out of his life. Dancing is symbolic locomotion without going anywhere. Dancing used to be war dancing, and it is now sexual dancing. It shows your level of health for reproduction. By age 30, men are 15 times more likely to die from an accident than females. Throughout evolution, men have always been expendable. A city only needs one man to propagate the whole damn species. If you don't understand that, go to a cattle farm, okay? They don't need a bull for every gosh darn cow. So men were always expendable. That's why we take high risk. That's why we were in war. We're 15 times more likely to die than an accident. The goal, if your goal of the company is to make money, then something can only be efficient if it makes more money. The Delphi method of finding out what apes or your people want is a survey. The Delphi method of survey is when you independently survey experts in the profession to see what their expert opinions are. The nominal group technique is when everyone gets a turn in a group setting, which is very structured and non-confrontational. And brainstorming is very unstructured, where you're all in the break room and you're all yelling out loud and someone's writing on the board. These are the methods to find out, what does your customer want? Take it down to the level of the billionaire ape. If you understand the ape or the monkey without a tail, you're going to make $1 billion. And then from an operational logistics point of view, take this understanding of human nature and stick it into the 5 Ps. Processes, your plant, your planning and control, your parts and your people. If you take all this organizational behavior and then you transform into a system of processes, plants, planning, control, parts, and people, you're going to build a dental office based on human behavior that will always predict the market because you understand the nature of the beast. Thank you very much.